Hello, Sean Parched at EP Training Services. Okay, so this is another Module 4 video. We have done one before. I think it was published about May 2013. It's done very well. But where we are now, December 2016, things have changed a little bit. The syllabus still remains the same and the topic areas are still the same, but some of the questions have been rephrased. Now we're not going to give everything to you, we're just going to give you a bit of a heads up about the test itself. It's still going to be about 30 minutes in duration. You're still going to be given 5 questions. You've still got to use a suitable vehicle to demonstrate your answers. So we strongly recommend, along with this video, that you source some reputable local training, because you need some formal training, you need a suitable vehicle, and you need someone to arrange your test for you. As far as a suitable vehicle goes, the DVSA, we turn up with a vehicle with 3.5 tonnes plus gross vehicle weight. Now the truth be told, a lot of the training companies up and down the country are using what we call a C1, which is a 7.5 tonner. Why? Because, alright, you still got all the items to check, but arguably there's less to check. Should be more straightforward. So we've got the C1 to demonstrate some of the questions. We've also got one of our rigids over here to demonstrate some of the other questions. As far as where you're going to do your test, it could be at the driving test centre, the DVSA one. It could also possibly be in future at your training company's premises, because you will shortly have DVSA employed examiners, but you also have approved DVSA external examiners, those that work for the training companies but are approved to conduct the Module 4 tests. Okay, so still 30 minutes, syllabus remains the same, subject matter remains the same. We're just going to give you a bit of a heads up about the new type of questions and how best to answer those. So as we mentioned earlier, you're going to be given 5 questions. The test is going to be about 30 minutes in duration. In order to get a pass, you need to get at least 75 in each section and at least 80% overall, which means in one of those questions you need to get 100%, and the rest you need to get at least a minimum of 75% in each section. Which means you can't do really well on 4 of them and bomb out on one of the questions. Okay, so we're going to look at the 5 subject areas now, which remain the same as before. Number 1, ability to load a vehicle with due regard for safety rules and proper vehicle use. Section 2, secure the vehicle and its contents. Section 3, ability to prevent criminality and trafficking in illegal immigrants. Section 4, ability to assess and deal with an emergency situation. And Section 5, ability to prevent physical risk. Okay, so Section 1, one of the sections requires you possibly to demonstrate how you're going to use a restraining device for a load that the examiner is going to select. We've already done a video on that, how to use restraining devices, so just look on YouTube for Driver CPC dolly knot. Okay, Section 1, ability to load a vehicle with due regard for safety rules and proper vehicle use. That's broken down into subsections. The first one is that you know the weight limits of your vehicle, okay, including things like the gross vehicle weight, gross train weight, and the axle weights as well. That you know the dimensions, the height, the width, the length of the vehicle. You must be able to explain by using the vehicle and possibly the load if the vehicle could be overloaded or incorrectly loaded. And the third one, which we just mentioned about before, is using the appropriate restraining devices so that if you secure a load on your vehicle, that it will remain stable and secure on the vehicle as well. So they're the 3 subject areas. So we're going to have a look at some of the questions you might be given for your test. So Section 1, you're fully laden, you just loaded your vehicle, you're about to go on the public highway to start doing your deliveries. But you suspect you might be overloaded, or how could you check to make sure you're not overloaded? So as competent lorry drivers, you should know the constraints of your vehicle. And we're talking about gross vehicle weight, gross train weight, axle weight, etc. So if we wanted to check to make sure the vehicle was not overloaded, the first thing we could do is actually have a look at the load itself and try and calculate what the weight of the load is. So you could have a transport manifest document, you could check on there. You could also check on the load, so if you give an indication of what the weight of the load is. And then what you've got to do is compare that weight against what the limits of the vehicle are. So any goods vehicles over 3.5 tons will have what we call a ministry plate, a VTG6 plate, which should be readily accessible and available to the driver. And these are found in the cab at a convenient place. So if you open the passenger door here, we're going to have a look on here. There's your ministry plate, guys. Okay, and it gives us some information. Gross vehicle weight on this vehicle is 5 ton. Gross train weight 7 ton, and your front and your rear axles. So we can look at the load, we can look at the manifest, we can consult the ministry plate. Another thing we can have a look at, so this goods vehicle over 3.5 tons, it has twin wheels at the back. So what we could do, we could check for bulges in the tyres, and also if you've got too much weight bearing down on that axle, you may find that the tyres will touch at the bottom. Okay, you've done all that, you're still unsure. One thing you could do is take it to a weighbridge, nearest weighbridge possible, and we would advise, if you are going to do that, you book it in advance. Let's say that you turn up to that weighbridge and you're found to be overloaded. You can't continue your journey, and it may be necessary to get another vehicle out to redistribute the load. Okay, so that's one of the ways we could ensure before we go on the public highway that we're not overloaded. Okay, section 1 continued. You're about to embark on a long journey, and the journey is going to exceed your current fuel capacity. So this is making sure that you've got enough fuel for your existing journey and to continue the journey afterwards as well. Okay, so there's a couple of things we're going to have a look at here, and the first one is going to be the fuel tank. We're going to go around to the fuel tank area. Why? Because we want to make sure that it's in good condition. This is where the fuel is stored, so we want to make sure there's no fuel leaking from here. So what we want to do, guys, is visually check the mountings, making sure they're secure. Check the fuel tank itself, any rust and excessive corrosion. Checking for any diesel patches on the floor. The fuel cap itself, we want to make sure that's all nice and secure. And as well as all the pipes going in and out of the fuel tank, we want to make sure that they're in good condition at the same time. So having enough fuel for your journey is all about ensuring that the fuel tank is in good condition. It would also be a very good idea to check your gauges to ensure you have enough fuel for the beginning of your journey. Obviously, to continue your journey, you need to have sufficient funds, and this is normally a fuel card or cash payment, etc., to ensure you can continue the remainder of your journey. Okay guys, moving on, section 2, secure the vehicle and its contents. Okay, so you're going to be driving different vehicles throughout your career, and one of the questions might be something like, you've been given a different vehicle to drive for the first time. Show me what practical and visual checks you might carry out to ensure the vehicle is in good condition before you take it on the public highway. So we're going to look at some of the items we need to be checking to make sure we're satisfied that the vehicle is in good condition. Okay, so making sure the vehicle's we're happy with it's in good condition. Just going to do a brief walk round check. So you can use your crib sheet, okay, if you want to. It's got the items on it. They've changed a little bit. The walk round, we've got lights and reflectors, tyres and wheels. So we're going to just walk around the vehicle, make sure all those are good. As far as the tyres go, legal requirement at least 1 mil across 3/4, the full circumference all the way round. You're going to check for tears, bulges, cuts, correctly inflated, any excessive wearing down on the wall, any cord exposed, that kind of thing. And we're going to come around, we're going to check the lights at the same time, check our markers, clean, clear, in the correct position and working. Just going to go around the vehicle with another marker here. Check the tyres at the back here. As far as the wheels go, guys, we're checking to ensure there's no excessive rust or corrosion, and the thread depths on the nuts are all about the same length. Okay, you're not going to get a torque wrench out and do it that way. It's visual checks. So tyres and wheels will come around the back here. Now we can assume that the examiner has already checked your brake lights and also your reverse lights if necessary. So we're going to check the lights at the back, fog lights, hazards, rear lights, markers at the top as well. Let's come round, check the other side, guys. And again, we're going to check the tyres, legal requirement. Going to check the wheel nuts, all secure. Going to check the markers are there and working. Come along, another marker here. Another marker here. Tyres and wheels, make sure we're happy with it. Reflector here, indicator, sorry. We're going to come around here. Check the marker lights at the top. Lights down at the bottom. Okay, that's our brief walk round check. That's the first element we're going to do. Okay, so something else about driving a vehicle for the first time, you might want to do a cockpit check. So as per the last test, and this test as well with the new questions, you can use your crib sheet. Okay, if necessary, make sure you use it. It will help you. So cockpit check, mirrors. Okay, we're going to make sure they're clean, they're clear, they're in the correct position. Move them to make sure that they are they're fixed, okay, and in good condition. The wipers and washers, okay, it's an offence to be on a public highway without any water in your windscreen washer bottle. So, you can ensure that that works. Push that in. There's your windscreen, and there's your washers. The horn, audible warning device, make sure that's working. As far as the instrument panel goes, guys, we're going to turn the ignition on. We're going to wait for all the lights to go out. And if there's any warning lights, for example, we don't have sufficient air in our air tanks, then we may get an audible warning or a light may appear. So the instrument panel looks good. We're also going to check the exhaust. So we need to start the vehicle up. And we're checking for a smoky exhaust. We're checking for an excessive blowing from anywhere and any rattling from the exhaust as well. Because it's an offence to be on the public highway with a smoky exhaust. We're then going to drive the vehicle forward, approximately 5 feet, because before we take it on the road, we want to make sure that the brakes will work. So you check your mirror blind spot, edge the vehicle forward, and apply the brakes. Okay, and the final element we need to check, which is quite new, this is checking for air leaks. Okay, we don't need to demonstrate it, we need to tell them what we'd do. So for air leaks, we get in the vehicle and we depress the brake pedal. By depressing the brake pedal, we're emptying the air out the air tanks. That's what we want to do first, empty the air tanks. Then we're going to turn the ignition on, go through our light check. When that's all clear, we're going to turn the engine on because we want to run the compressor, which will then fill up air in the air tanks. And the idea is to run the compressor until the air tanks are full. We're going to consult our gauges at that point. Once the air tanks are full, we're going to turn the ignition off. We're then going to press our foot on the brake pad, on the brake pedal, sorry, and we're going to listen for any leaking. If there's two of you there, one of you can put your foot on the brake and the other one can walk around. If you're on your own, you can do it from the seat, or you get a stick that you can wedge between the seat and the brake pedal itself. That's how you check for air leaks, and that's your cockpit checks. So once you get in the vehicle for the first time, you also need to make yourself aware of the overall height, the width and the length of the vehicle. Okay, so it's a legal requirement if the vehicle, or don't forget guys, sometimes you're going to be carrying a load which goes beyond the height of the normal vehicle, and as a result the height of the vehicle may be high. It's a legal requirement. If that height is over 3 meters, it must be displayed in the cab. So when you get in the vehicle for the first time, you want to make sure, if applicable, there is a height indicator in there. Another thing we can check is, of course, to ensure we have sufficient fuel for our journey. Okay, continuing section 2, security of the vehicle and its contents. The examiner could ask you something along the lines of, You're driving a goods vehicle, okay? You could be carrying dangerous goods, high consequential, high value goods, and you're going to go on a long journey, and chances are you're going to stop overnight. So what might you plan with that vehicle before you start your journey? So the first thing ideally is any competent driver would work out where they're going to park in advance, where they're going to stop overnight, and they want to stop ideally in a well-lit, secure lorry park where they can get easy access to it. They need to ensure that they're going to remove the keys and also lock up all the doors, okay? They also need to activate any alarm systems if there are any, okay? And when they've been from a break, they need to come back, have a look around the vehicle, have a look around the curtain area, have a look around the seals, etc. Check for any interference or any tampering as well, okay? So we're going to remove the keys. We're going to lock all the doors. Good idea as well, when we get round the back or when we're parking the vehicle up, it's probably a good idea to ensure the back doors are parked up against another vehicle or indeed a wall. Okay, so you just come back from your break, come back to your vehicle. It's worth having a quick walk around, check for any interference, check around the curtain area, check around the seals underneath, make sure nothing's been tampered with. Quick look round your vehicle will suffice. Okay, section 3, ability to prevent criminality and trafficking in illegal immigrants. So a bit like the old video, same kind of scenario. You're parked at a ferry port and you're just about to make a border crossing. You've come back from a tea break, relief break, and you suspect your vehicle's been tampered with. This one certainly has, all the doors are already open. So for this exercise we need to go round, under, on top, inside the vehicle and have a good look around. So let's start at the front. We're checking the engine compartment, just this way. Don't open the bottles, don't touch the bottles, they could be hot. All we're going to do, we're going to have a good look around and in here, and around in here, and in here. We're going to check under, around here, around this area here. Close the engine up. We'll have a look around the grill area here, and then we're going to start working our way round the vehicle. So the first area is around the wheel arch area. Make sure there's nothing in there. Have a good look around. We're going to move along. We've got the cab door open, so we're going to have a look in the cab area, and we're going to do the driver's area. So we're going to check in the door wells. We're going to have a look in here. We'll open. We're going to have a look in here. Any conceivable cubby holes, we'll have a look in here. We're going to have a look behind and under the seats. If we want to get in the vehicle, it's still advised we use 3 points of contact to get in. And once you're seated in the vehicle, we can check the sun visor, we can check up here, we can check down here. We need to check in the ashtray, guys. Any conceivable cubby holes. When you get out of the vehicle, just check your mirror and blind spot. 3 points of contact as you get out. We'll continue doing our check as we go round. So we need to check under the vehicle. We also need to check on top of the vehicle if it's possible. As far as checking on top of the vehicle goes, we can park up next to some steps and we can walk up those steps. So we're just going to move along now. We've got another wheel arch area here. We're going to have a look around here, and then we're going to come round the back. So on the last video, we said get into the low compartment. That's not a requirement anymore. You can do it from standing back here. So we're going to come round here. We're going to have a look in the low compartment area, make sure there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. We're going to check around the seals, around the doors. If we've got curtains as well, we'll have a look around there. Any conceivable cubby holes. Checking the door areas around here. Any seals. We'll then close that up. We're now going to check the other side as we come around. So we're going to come along here. We're going to check around the wheel arch here again. If necessary, under the vehicle again. On top of the vehicle if required, just this way. Check around the low compartment area. Okay, we come to the passenger area. It's all different on all vehicles, but what we need to do is have a look in the fuel cap. So, open up the fuel cap. pull it out. We want to make sure there's no contraband, no bags, nothing in here that shouldn't be in there. We're going to close that up. And now we've got the passenger door open as well. Again, we're going to check in the door wells. We're going to have a look in here. We're going to check in the glove box. We're going to check behind and under the seats. Now our seat does this, flips open. So we need to have a look around in here as well. Make sure there's nothing in there that shouldn't be. Checking the sun visor. Up the top here. In here as well. Close the door. And the final item we're going to check is around the wheel arch area again. That's how we do a comprehensive search when we're checking for illegal immigrants or contraband. So section 4, demonstrating ability to assess an emergency situation. So for this section we've got a couple of questions. One of them could relate to, you suspect you have a fault with your brakes. How would you check that? What could you check? So when we're dealing with air leaks, the first thing that we want to do in this scenario is empty the air tanks. So some vehicles have a valve you can pull, but all vehicles you can depress the brake pedal and that will empty the air out of the air tanks. So the first idea is to empty the air out of the air tanks. Once we've emptied the air out of the air tanks, we then need to start the engine. We're going to start the engine so we can run the compressor to build up the air in the air tanks. So we run the engine to run the compressor. We run the engine until the air tanks are full. And we can ensure the compressor is working by checking the air gauges to make sure they're filling up. Once we've filled up the air tanks, the next idea is to turn the engine off, and then we can depress the brake pedal slightly, and we're listening for air leaks. If you are the only one in, you can put your foot on the brake pedal and listen for yourself, or you can get a stick or a device to put between the seat and the brake pedal to depress it, and then walk around for listening for any hissing sounds. Or if there are two of you, one can put your foot on the foot brake and the other one can walk around listening for any air leaks. So we can also check the air lines. Here's your foot brake valve here. We can only check what we can see, but we're going to check these along here, make sure they're in good condition and checking for integrity, any leaks. Okay, so another one in section 4, ability to assess an emergency situation. Could be something on the lines of your vehicle catches fire, you're driving down a motorway, and how you're going to deal with that. So this is all about getting over to the hard shoulder as soon as possible, selecting appropriate fire extinguishers if we're going to use it, notifying the emergency services, etc, etc. So the scenario is you drive along the motorway and you look at your vehicle and you see flames appearing from the engine compartment. So it could be possibly electrical fire, something like that. How are you going to deal with that? Okay, so if you're driving along the motorway and you're going to pull over on a hard shoulder, the first thing you need to do is check your mirrors. Check your mirrors, then get your signal on, and we're going to pull over onto the hard shoulder. We've done nothing with that vehicle, so there's some items we need to do, like apply the handbrake, select neutral. It's an emergency situation, so we're going to put the hazards on, and we're going to turn the engine off. You're going to have to exit the vehicle. Which side do you want to exit from? On the busy side, on the motorway side, or on the near side, the passenger side? So we're going to get out the passenger side. Before we get out, it's highly advisable that you check your mirrors and your blind spot and use 3 points of contact to get out the vehicle. Once you're out of the vehicle, it's very, very important that you operate the battery isolator switch. Very, very important. Once we've done that, it might be an idea to go and assess the fire. Why? Because I, or the examiner, has not told you how big that fire is. Maybe a possibility we could deal with that fire. So we've got a number of fire extinguishers. We've got water, we've got powder, we've got foam, and we've got CO2. So out of the fire extinguishers we're not going to use would be the water, because water on electrics is very serious. Okay, So for this one, we're going to select the powder fire extinguisher, and we're going to attempt that fire if we think we can tackle it. So let's say we've tackled it and we put that fire out. We're not going to continue our journey. What we're going to do is get ourselves and others away, and we're going to contact the emergency services. If we go back in time a little bit now, so when we're in the vehicle, we put the handbrake on, selected neutral, put the hazards on, switched the engine off. We've moved over to the near side, we checked your mirrors and blind spot, 3 points of contact to get out the vehicle, and we've activated the battery isolator switch. We're then going to assess the fire again. This time it's completely out of control. There's nothing we can do with it. Our fire extinguisher will not carry the mustard, unfortunately. So all we're going to do is get ourselves and others away and contact the emergency services. So whatever we do, whether we can tackle it or not, it will always end with getting ourselves and others away and contacting the emergency services. Okay, this is section 5, ability to prevent physical risk. This is going to be the last bit of your module 4 test, okay? This is all about ensuring the vehicle is in good condition, no defects before you take it out on the public highway. This whole Driver CPC Mod 4 covers a lot of obligations, legal obligations. For example, ensure the vehicle's not overloaded, there's no defects on the vehicle as well. Now, in the real world, you'll be given by your transport manager a check sheet to use as you walk around and check the different items on the vehicle. For the test, the Module 4 test, you too can also use a crib sheet. Now, whether your examiner asks you to use that or not, it's highly advisable that you do use it. You're allowed to use it. So we're going to do the walk around items first, and then we're going to do the cab stuff, the stuff we're doing seated in the vehicle. So the first item is the lights and reflectors. But look, as we're going around checking the lights and reflectors, we could also do the tyres and we could also do the wheels. We could get all that done at the same time. So the first thing we do is turn the lights on. So if you just come around this way, so you're going to need the ignition on to put all the lights on. We recommend you put all the lights on. So ignition on, dip lights. We're going to use your fog lights. We should use them when visibility is less than 100 metres. We're also going to put our main beam on, and we're going to put the hazards on as well. Now that's all the lights on, so we're going to now go around the vehicle and check all these items. Okay, these are our markers reflectors. Not only do they emit light, but they also reflect light. We're checking to ensure that they're there, they're secure, and they're doing what they should be doing, which is working. As far as the tyres go, we did have a look at this earlier. Legal requirement, at least 1 mil across 3/4 all the way around the tyre. We're going to check for bulges, tears, cuts, correctly inflated, any cord exposed, etc. As far as the wheels go, checking for excessive rust or corrosion. And as far as the wheel nuts go, we're checking to ensure the thread depth length is all the same, about all the same as we go round. So we're now going to walk around the vehicle, checking our markers, checking our lights, checking the tyres. Not only this one, but the one inside as well. Check the wheels again, make sure the thread depth lengths are all about the same. Come around the vehicle, check your marker again. And when we get round to the back of the vehicle, we can assume that the examiner has checked your brake lights and your reverse lights as well. So as we come round the back, got to make sure the indicator lights are working, the hazards, rear lights, fog lights. We could also check to ensure that our number plate lights were working. And we're then going to come down this side and do the same. Check your reflectors and markers, they're working, they're clean, they're clear, they're fixed, they're in the correct position. There's your tyres again. Legal requirement, good condition. Check the wheels. We're moving along. Another marker here. Indicate your reflector here. And here's our tyre. At least 1 mil, 3/4 across, all the way round. Check the wheels, check for integrity. We're going to come around the front now. We're going to check the lights at the front. The indicator is the dip beam, the main beam as well, and on this side. And the final item we're going to check is to make sure the indicator is working. That's our walk round check. That's what we're going to need to do, and it's also identified on your crib sheet. Okay, so we've just done a walk round check. The second part to this is what we call a cockpit check. Okay, this is what you're going to do while you're seated in the vehicle. And again, use your crib sheet to consult the items you need to check. And let's go through them. So the first one is the mirrors. Make sure they're clean and clear, in the correct position, no defects. You might even want to grab them, just make sure they're secure. Wipers and washers. Okay, so we had the ignition on, we put the wipers on, and we make sure we have some windscreen washer fluid. It's an offence to be on the public highway without any fluid in your windscreen washer bottle. Okay, then we've got the audible warning device, the horn, so we'll test that. Next item is the instrument panel. So we're going to turn the ignition on, and we're going to wait for all the necessary lights to go out. If we're driving an HGV, we haven't got sufficient air in our air tanks, then audible warning devices or noises or lights might come on. So that's all good. Then we're going to start the vehicle up, and we're going to rev up the engine a little bit, and we're going to get a head out, and we're going to check for an excessive smoky exhaust. We're also going to check for any blows on the exhaust as well, and any rattling at the same time. It's an offence to be on the public highway with a smoky exhaust. Okay, and then we're going to put our seatbelt on, because we need to make sure the brakes are working. We're going to select first gear, and we're going to drive the vehicle forward gently, about 5 feet. Check your mirrors and blind spot, edge it forward 5 feet, apply the brakes, and make sure they're working. Okay, the final item, and for this we can tell them about it rather than demonstrate, is to check for air leaks. So in that case, what we would do there is empty the air tanks by depressing the brake pedal. Once the air tanks are empty, we're then going to run the engine to run the compressor to build up the air in the air tanks. We're going to consult our gauges to make sure the compressor is working and filling up the air in the air tanks. We're then going to turn the engine off, depress the brake pedal, and we're going to listen for any air leaks. If there's two of you in, have the engine off, one of you put your foot on the brake pedal, and the other one walk around listening for any air leaks. So that's the stuff we're going to do while we're seated in the vehicle for your cockpit checks. Okay, so that is most of the questions and answers covered for your Module 4 practical driving test. Whatever way you look at it, don't rely on this video alone. We strongly recommend that you source some local professional training company to supply your vehicle, sort out your test, and give you some formal training. But this video was really designed to give you a heads up to show you what it's all about. Nothing too much to worry about, and we wish you luck on your test. Now, once you do pass, your Driver CPC qualification card, you'll be issued with one, and that lasts you for 5 years. By the end of that 5 years and every 5 years thereafter, if you continue to drive commercially, you will need to complete your periodic Driver CPC training, which is 35 hours every 5 years. And for that one, there's no exam. So, we hope this video has been of use to you, and feel free to like or comment or share.